product market fit, right? Like, I think this is where every product manager eventually has to uh, somehow, it sounds very easy to land at that intersection where product, market, and price meets. But trust me, it's extremely tough for us to basically get into that niche spot, which is like the bullseye at the center, right? So, and many a times, all these three bubbles are of not the same size. So that becomes the biggest challenge. Imagine two bubbles which are huge, and the third bubble is like a small bubble coming in. Ideally, that makes it even more tougher to find a sweet spot in between. So obviously, what's the product market fit that we are talking about? At the core, there are three things that needs to be solved or looked upon, right? You need to know and you need to design the product that addresses the problem. You have to have a product ready. You have to have your MVP, which is at least giving you the which is at least which is solving the fundamental problem. The frills, the nice to have features, good to have features, they might not be required, but the must have features need to be there. Example, if you're designing a car, you can't say I'll put brakes as a must, like a nice to have or a good to have, right? It is more of a must have. If I don't have brake, I don't have a car. As simple as, if I don't have a steering wheel, I don't have a car. Similarly, AC, do you need an air condition? That could be a nice to have. Do you need power windows? Again, nice to have. Do you need windows? Debatable. Some people might say, I don't care. I don't need a window. And some might say, no, I really need a window. So these things are very important when you're designing a product and you basically come up with your MVP. And that has to be there for you to go ahead. Second, timely launch. Absolutely critical. I can't really I can talk a lot about some of the examples in my own like the life, and I can tell you that if it's not hitting the market at the right time, you see so many products basically not even thriving, right? Like, you can see a lot of examples around you. What happened to those pagers which basically came and just burnt and went away? Like, it was not because they were not good, it was because the market changed. What happened to the film rolls of Kodak, the old Nokia as a business, like Xerox as a business, all these, if you look at it, right, like they they might have not come back with products at a timely basis to counter to the market, the changes that were happening. I mean, it's hard to believe that the digital transformation of photography was not being preempted by Kodak, right? Like, they had everything going, and it's just that they missed the bus because some other wacky side of the industry came in and they threw in smartphones with a digital photography enabled, and that's how the entire industry changed. Yes, we still have the DSLRs and others which are absolutely critical, but still the market penetration when it comes to photography now is not actually at that side, right? Like, people take photos anywhere, everywhere with their devices. Similarly, some of the smartphones which came in the market might have come at a time which was far ahead of their curve. I don't know how many of you know about the Dell Streaks that came in even before iPhone came. But for all you know, again, the network effect might have worked against them, because what good is a smartphone if your data and your internet is not supporting your device? So maybe that's the reason timely launch of your product becomes extremely critical, and optimize the product to the target customer segment. This is an iterative one, right? Like, if you see that you launched six product features, and the most spoken about feature is like feature number two, and the most cribbed or most disliked feature, or people are raising a lot of queries on forums and others about feature number six, here is your opportunity to basically optimize your next version of the product. You might want to take away all the there are two ways to look at it. Yes, you might want to go and validate whether that's a must have feature, like how critical is that in the must have. Like security, if your security is really weak, you can't just basically say, okay, people are cribbing about my security, so let me just take that feature out of it. But if that feature was more like animation enhancement or emojis or something which basically gave a great experience, but you basically can live with that subpar, or you don't want to even expose that subpar feature at that point in time. You might want to pull it back, or you might want to just take it out of your beta, and you focus on your like a must the top feature, and try to make it even better so that the reach goes even further. So it's about there are multiple, there's no right or wrong answer here at all, right? It's at the moment data driven analysis. You basically start optimizing your product, and if you just overlook this, there is no way you're going to honor the feedback that you're getting from your customers. So optimizing all 3 points, these are the ones for products. Then you look at the market. I think we have spoken everything at length. I'm not going to again spend time. You have to understand the problem. You have to know the customer segmentation. You need to have a good go-to-market strategy. And finally, you need to understand the demand, estimating the market potential. And I cannot, I mean, I can tell you many times where people overestimate the market size. It's so easy to basically I mean, I've seen so many presentations, and when I consult some of the startups, the first question when we come into like, hey, what is your market potential, I see this big slide coming in, right? Like, hey, IDC predicted that there can be 600 billion market here. I'm going to focus on APJ, which is going to be like 1/10 or 1/5. So that gives me around, let's say, 20 billion to play out of the 100 billion. And in the 20 billion, blah, blah, blah. And they come up with an exorbitant number, which is like, hey, this is my total addressable market. And it just sometimes looks so flat that, hey, is this the market reality that you're talking about? So the critical thing is validate your claims. Yes, these exercises give you a head start, because you now at least know that there is a market, there is a X number of dollars available. But before even claiming that that is your true market potential, go and do some tests. Go and find out, is this actually translating into what your analysis is, or the test that you run completely show a different picture altogether. And yes, finally, we'll slowly come into the price point discussion, right? Like, pricing is based on a perceived value of the product, right? Like, it's not about you basically deciding the product and saying, hey, I would want to price it at this point, a price point, unless there are few exceptions. Like, you can do that when even now, I think Apple is also slowly feeling the heat, but Apple has been doing that for quite some time, where they basically played on the perceived value of the product. It, and they still are encashing some of the perceived value, and they are doing the price skimming that we talk about, right? Like, they are basically taking the top layer of the premium pricing, and that's how it's going. And the last, customer first. Pricing is an iterative process, and it's based on customer feedback. I think the value-based pricing question came in, so we'll keep touching from here how we can keep getting closer to the value-based. Uh, there are, unless we go to the customers and basically ask them, how much would you pay for this particular product, you will not get the correct value of that particular product. Example, someone who values time would invest in a automobile or in a car which basically takes person A from point A to point B at a faster pace. That's it. They might invest in that. But if you change the persona of the customer, a customer who wants to go from point A to point B safely, I mean, the probability of going from point A to point B safely, they want to increase by 100%. I don't think speed might be the big determinant for that particular customer. For them, it will look into other areas, right? Like build quality, safety features, this, that, and all. So understanding the customer is super critical. And when you price your product accordingly to the customer's expectation, that's when you start getting the market. If you price your right product, example, the top end safe car to a particular customer whose persona is safety, even if you charge a premium of 1 lakh, they are not going to have a problem. They might take it. But if you take that same package and go to a person who wants to go faster, it's going to fall flat. For all you know, the brand is basically getting diluted in front of a persona. So that's where I think price can be used positively. And in many a times, price also starts looking it has a negative impact on the perception of the product.